So From has returned with its 3rd season. We've discussed the other seasons, so of course we're going to continue
discussing this season.
Sure are. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, right? It's been like a year. So it's always, you know, we're not the typical like channels that break down these things and like go back and rewatch and get everything all refreshed. We're trying to go off memory here, so if you want like a perfect video, this ain't it. This ain't gonna be it. This is more just us yapping about the show, our memory of it, and having fun. So if you want to hang out with us for that, then stick around. Otherwise, there's probably better channels for this kind of stuff. Okay, so episode 1, Shatter. So we pick up where we left off with Tabitha in Maine, which is what we learn. That's very... I would assume that's a nod to Stephen King, it being set in Maine.
Feels like it a little bit.
And this is very,
at the very least,
Stephen King-esque.
Yeah, coincidental.
No, it's gotta be a little nod. But we find out that eventually later on that this is the hometown of Victor. Now they all come in from different locations, right? And you've got the kid in white, whatever you want to call him, that pushes her out of the lighthouse. And he seems to be the opposing force to the creatures, the monsters there. And he says, like, I'm sorry, this is the only way, and pushes her out the window. And she ends up specifically in the town that she kind of needs to be in. So this would only suggest once again that this entity is leading her in a way that I would assume is positive. I mean, this seems to be her guardian angel. This seems to be the counter to the monsters, right? You got the dark versus the light. He's in all white. Right.
Yeah, I think that's what we were speculating during the last season. It's hard to say, like, what the real motives are, like, if they're very pure and, like, altruistic, or if there's, like, something that can be gained out of him helping her.
Right.
I don't know yet. And I think, like, you know, there's other stuff going on here besides just the monsters. Like, Boyd obviously sees the preacher that passed away, but it's not really him.
Right.
And he also saw his dead wife, which he acknowledges in this episode that it, like, wasn't her. So we don't really know.
You think it's possible that the kid in white is posing as the preacher to talk to Boyd?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's possible it's like the same entity that's just taking different forms. Yeah, that's totally possible.
I mean, we do get a religious angle in this episode where Tabitha goes in to talk to a priest, and the priest is kind of like, you know, talking to her about God. She's like, I don't believe in God because God wouldn't make a place like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe this kid is like the stand-in for God in that area.
Maybe.
Kind of like trying to protect them from the hell that like the devil has created on earth, and they've fallen into his trap or something. I don't know if they'd go religious with it, but maybe that's just kind of like a random idea of like this becoming somewhat religious. I mean, even Lost got into like gods fighting over the island.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's not unprecedented for a show like this. This show's very Lost-like, and they had literal gods who were like, you know.
Yeah.
That was my memory of it, anyways. They have the showdown where they like talk on the beach or something like that. Yeah. It's been a long time. I mean, I watched that show when it aired, so you're talking, what is that, almost 20 years ago at this point. It's so crazy how long ago that aired, but what an addicting show that was. And this is the same creators, right? Like, there's some people that worked on Lost, worked on this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's definitely possible that there might be that aspect to it. I really like the scene of Tabitha and the priest. I think that's an interesting little moment that we get, and just kind of everything with her out in the real world is very interesting. I like
he
that
also
she's...
directs her to look at the lunchbox, like he's pointing a finger towards like the next clue,
right? Because he's even like just humor me or whatever, like what did he pack for you, and that's what ends up leading her to Victor's house. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe there is some like divine intervention happening, which would be nice to think.
Because she sees the boy on the street. At least she thinks she does. So if he can interact with the real world as well, he might be guiding that guy, or maybe even posing him as him, because she's in there alone. There's no one else to see him. So is she in there completely alone, and the kid is talking to her as, you know, pretending to be this priest guy? That's possible.
Yeah, maybe. Whenever she's following him, I thought that he was gonna lead her somewhere or into like run into somebody or something, but he kind of just like, she goes into an ice cream shop and like confronts another kid, which, you know, that doesn't really amount to anything. But the scene at the like flea market, or the like, I don't know, flea market.
It's like an antique road. Whatever.
It's like a little... Anyway, they have like... It's almost like a farmer's market, but they're like selling thrift clothes. Anyway, that was so angering. The way that the one girl acts when she's like, can I borrow one of your phones? Ugh, so horrible. Like, I know she looks unkempt and she's like cut up and everything, but she's not acting like eccentric or weird or off-putting or anything. She just like normally asks if she can borrow the phone for a moment. And she's like specifically asking like younger, you know, like young girls, like young women, because I feel like, because she's like, I'm a woman too, like maybe they won't be threatened by me, and like they'll, you know, whatever. Yeah. But the one girl, so annoying.
I mean, it's totally fine if you think, you know, you're just playing it safe and you're like, I don't want to give you my phone because I'm afraid you're going to run off with it, or you're going to like call something that's like illegal. So if you want to say no, like, hey, I'm like uncomfortable with that, that's fine. Like, that's your right for sure. But to be a dick about it,
it's like, more just that she's
out loud be like, you gotta disinfect your phone, how could you do that? Like, there's no cause for that, in my opinion. There's no need to be mean. You know, you can have your boundaries, totally, but there's no reason to be a dick. Yeah. Right? So that's what's angering about it.
Yeah, it is. And it's a very sad scene. Obviously, she calls her mom. And it's like, I'm alive. And like, you know, Jim and the kids are alive. And we're okay, but we can't come back yet. And it's like, oh my God, that would be so wild to be, like, to get a call from somebody that's been missing for so long. Yeah. And them just be like, oh, I can't come back yet. And you're like, what is happening?
So this begs the question, of course, because of potential time distortion. And because we have, you know, those dates written above the doorway that she finds that go all the way back to like the 1500s, you know, and the fact that Victor says that the seasons really never change there, and that, you know, whenever a change happens, it's never for the good. How long has it been? You know, how long do they think it has been? Like, how many days have passed from town? And how many days have passed since they've been gone? Her mom seems like it's been a long time. She's been missing for a long time. That's the way it reads when I'm listening to it. But I don't know. We don't get a sense of that by her being like, where have you been for the last X amount of months, years, whatever.
I don't remember if there's any, like, the doctor. I don't think the doctor tells her, like, a date or anything.
You would think that would be, like, one of the first things she would want to know.
I like that she's, like, you know, disoriented and just kind of like...
The date would be on the phone that she friggin' borrowed.
Yeah, it would. So, I don't know, maybe she's not noticing it, or they're just not drawing attention to it yet. Maybe it doesn't matter. The convenience. But it would be interesting. I mean, either way, it's interesting, right? Like, if they're in there much longer than they thought they were, or they've been in there a shorter time. like
You've been
relative
gone a
to
week.
the outside. Yeah, because her mom does say like everyone's been looking for you, so it does. I could see it being like, yes, it's been a long time, but I could also see it being like months or like a month or two kind of a thing, compared to like
Everyone's been looking for.
yeah, like it makes it sort of sound like it's on like active, you know, like because when people have been missing for years, I mean, obviously you still, you know, want to hope that they're there, but it's not as, you know what I mean? Like there's a point, I think, with unfortunately missing persons cases where you like kind of resign yourself to like, I'm not going to find them.
Yeah.
As at some level at least.
You're right. She doesn't seem as surprised as she might if she's been missing for years. Kind of like, who's this? And then hearing it and being like, wait.
Yeah.
You know, like, what? No, you can't be alive. Anyway. Okay, moving on from that. So we find out that all the crops are rotten, which then leads them to the conclusion that they are going to have to slaughter the animals slowly. This leads to a very sad scene with Ethan, who, you know, has befriended a goat and wants to protect him at all costs. He asks for the goat to be slaughtered first because he doesn't want him to watch his friends die. Yeah. Which is, you know,
super sad.
The vegan over here was definitely hit very hard by that.
Yeah.
As was I. I mean, it's very sweet and very sad.
Yeah.
I would not eat animals ever if I didn't feel I had to. But I tried veganism for years, and I always felt like shit. I just could never find a diet that felt good. And when I went back to eating meat, I started feeling great, and I put on the weight again that I felt was healthy and whatever. Anyways, so no, I do not prefer it. I hate it, actually. Anyway, so Jim and Kenny are making their way out into the forest looking for the lighthouse. He's looking for his wife because he's like, you know, my kids can't lose their mom. And then once he's out there, he's like, well, maybe they can't lose both of us.
Yeah,
so
he
maybe
kind
this
of comes
is
to
dumb.
his senses and realizes like, oh yeah, like I can't abandon them because if I die.
So they find some like buildings that no one's ever seen before. Now, in the previous season, Victor mentions how the trees have been moving.
Yeah.
Things are different, and as I said, we see dates that are carved, and in other episodes we see like these miners, and we've seen all sorts of different time periods. These look like almost pilgrim hut type. Yeah. You know, buildings. So these could be really old buildings that they finally have access to once again. And I think that people from different time periods have gotten caught there. Their little encampments have gotten, whether it's the mining operation or maybe the pilgrim houses now, or the town that they found themselves in, which is from like the 50s. There's like a bunch of different time periods, and I think it kind of expands and contracts. Yeah. And it swallows up small little like Roanoke type communities. Yeah. And then it gives you access to them when need be. And I think, you know, with these like humanoid effigies that are sitting outside of these camps, I don't know if these are like were made by the people who lived there previously. Maybe to try to scare off the monsters or something as an attempt to you know, or like they erected them as monuments to them. There's a bunch of nails in the head of one. Of course, that one girl gets like a nail through the head. So I thought voodoo dolls or something for a second, but I don't think so. What do you think?
I don't know what they are. I think they look really creepy though. But yeah, maybe I think like what you were saying about maybe they were created to try and ward them off or to like mark a boundary or something like
a scarecrow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like a scarecrow or, yeah. I don't know, that's just what I thought. I'm definitely curious because
maybe they have the totem symbols carved into them somewhere.
Maybe. I didn't catch it if they did.
I mean, I didn't see them, but
Yeah, I definitely wasn't like looking too close, unfortunately. But
Because yeah, if you set them up and they're like perimeters, but I think.
But I don't think that's. I mean, when they're in that like building that's past those, and they still get something like scratching outside. So
we don't know if that's a monster.
We don't,
or not,
and we won't really know. Well, we might not know, but obviously, the last we see of them for this episode is just Jim saying like we're gonna go home in the morning. And we're like, oh no.
Oh, Kenny's gonna have a bad homecoming.
Yeah, so because all the crops are rotten and they don't have food, everyone starts panicking and freaking out. And
they're like, grab the toilet paper.
Yeah, pretty much. They just
that's what
start
we know.
Losing their minds. And anyway, at night, the monsters like let the animals out of the barn and out of their like little pen that they're in, which is just like
they know how valuable they are to them.
So bad. It's such a horror. I mean, they're baiting them. They're like, you're gonna either come out and get him, and then we're gonna get you, or you're not gonna get him, and then we're gonna get you still eventually.
Yeah, you'll starve to death,
Yeah.
or you can try to get him now, and we'll bleed you.
This definitely feels like they're really playing with them this episode. Like the monsters are playing with this, like the townspeople, because I mean, obviously, the very end they tie Boyd up and like make him watch while Kenny's mom is getting dismembered or mutilated or probably killed, more than likely. So it's pretty horrible.
Yeah, at best,
and they
disfigured.
specifically say, like, we're gonna, like, they're, like, specifically trying to break him.
Yeah, because he yells in a previous episode out in the wilderness,
like I won't
you
let
can't fucking break me,
Yeah.
or something like that. And they're like, they take that personally.
Yeah, they're like, all right, hold my beer. And it's messed up. It's really messed up because, Boyd is trying, I feel like he just has like such a burden of responsibility, for this whole town.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I really feel like he cares deeply about everyone and he wants everyone to survive and to get out of there. And it's just like, it's such a hard role to be put in. Like, I think most leaders probably feel that to an extent, but especially if you're in this kind of a scenario where it's like, it's not you're not really, you're not obviously there by choice. Yeah. And, yeah. We also get the really freaky drowned woman in this episode, which we saw last season.
Yeah.
And I do not like how she looks. She's scary. She's really scary.
So the speculation that I've seen and I've noticed is she has a very similar outfit or shirt or whatever. She's referred to as the kimono woman in the credits. So it's like a kimono. But she seems to have the same kimono that Fatima has. So now if this is precognition for Fatima's death, because remember, he's like, sees something about the water. Right? When he first gets to town, he's like having that dream about the water, and they take him out to that like lake or whatever.
Yeah.
Who takes him out there? Isn't it? It's not Fatima, is it? Fatima?
It's what's her name? Oh my God, Ethan's sister. Julie. I think Julie's the one that takes him out there. But they're all like out there. Fatima and like everyone's out there.
So it's very possible that Fatima is wearing that kimono and is drowned. Yeah. And is like left out there to like, prune up and look like that eventually. So maybe it could be foreshadowing for Fatima's death. Or someone like borrows her shirt.
Yeah, I mean it definitely could. It looks like, it's got long hair like her. What's interesting though is the fact that she's pregnant. She's like, I'm not supposed to be able to have kids. So that's more what I'm thinking is like maybe she's gonna turn into that, like, because of what's inside of her. Because she's also like, at least in this episode, she's like trying to like suck like energy from him or something, like nutrients for her baby. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she was told she was infertile.
Yeah.
And now she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And we are in a mystical land.
Right.
So she gives birth to a demon, then she goes out to drown it and herself because she can't handle the fact that she has to kill her kids, so she ends up killing herself in the water to, like, you know, drown it in the lake.
Yeah, maybe. Also a possibility.
I don't know. That's my theory at the moment. Just because you said that, I'm like, oh, if it is a demon thing, like if she creates one of those monsters, she might want to kill it. And if she kills it, she might have to kill herself because she's like so upset about it. Maybe she drowns herself with the baby in that kimono. We'll see. Anyway, also, I watched something and I saw that Tilly, the old woman that was sitting on the couch with Elgin, they had said that she says that she gave birth to 7 children.
Oh.
And when Jade finds all those kids on the, like
the slabs?
The altars.
Oh, yeah.
There's 7 of them.
Oh, interesting.
So
maybe she's...
that's interesting.
Yeah, that is
interesting.
interesting.
You know, because it's birth.
Yeah.
7 kids. Fatima's pregnant. Connection.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know. So, yeah. And, so Kenny's mom, I mean, I would say it's probably a 90% chance she's dead. But at best, she's horribly disfigured.
Yeah.
You know, if she was to survive. But I don't think so. So the fact that they're going to leave Boyd alive. Now, remember, Boyd had been infected.
Yeah.
And he had some kind of, like, blood thing. Now, they scratched him specifically in the arm that he was shot in. Almost like they knew he was shot there. So they were, like, going after wounds. Because they're, like, trying to dig into old wounds. Like they like to do. That's kind of their thing. That's why they, like, you know, do what they do. They like to fuck with people. Yeah, making him watch as he cannot protect someone who's so helpless is something that would break him. Like, of all the things to break him, that's it. Like, you can beat him, you can hurt him, you can do whatever you want to him. He's not going to care as much. But when it comes to, like, protecting the townspeople, that is his job. That's what he sees as his cross to bear. And here he is failing a friend of his mother, who, of course, he cares about her too. But, like, there's so much wrapped up in it. Another mother, you know, like the wife that he had. Like, there's so many things to look at in that. So it's gonna really affect him mentally. They killed a cow. There's some noticeable CG in here. The cow, their face is changing. It was a little much, a little noticeable. Takes you out of it for a second.
The cow definitely was for me. The faces I didn't mind so much because, like, after they changed, they looked really creepy.
Yeah.
Like, some of the eyes in a few of them were just, like, really gross looking.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think the cow being killed like that definitely looked a little off, I suppose. But
I think we said it already, but she finds Victor's dad.
Yeah.
So he recognizes the pail immediately, and so we'll get the confrontation there between them, or the discussion. I'm sure he's going to confront her immediately. Where's my kid? Although he's been gone for who knows how long. I don't know. That guy doesn't look old enough to be his father.
Well, yeah,
for
that's
me.
why I'm,
So it's like time distortion,
if
right?
more time passes inside.
It's only been 20 years or 15 years or something. Last thing too for me that we didn't mention here is Randall kind of has a good moment. Where he lets Julie and Ethan and Sarah in.
He would be, like, responsible for all their deaths, if not.
We hadn't seen Sarah in a little while, so there she is.
Yeah, I was surprised to see her, but there she is.
There she is. So he had a moment.
He did, which is good.
Yeah, I mean...
I feel like he had a moment or so last season, too, but, like, he's definitely...
Well, last season he was one of the 3 that were, like, comatose.
I know that, but I thought that there was a few moments, I feel. I just don't remember what they were, where they, you know, he wasn't as horrible. But yeah, he definitely has a jerky moment in this episode where he's trying to take the goat to kill it right away.
To make it into jerky.
Yeah. But this, I mean, yeah, I think he's probably not the worst person. He just has anger issues, I think. And authority issues.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, that's that. Anything more?
No, I think that's all.
Okay. So from season 3, episode 1, Shatter, we tried to get to this as quick as we could. We actually had to get MGM Plus just to watch this. So, as I'm sure all of you did as well. But is there anything else on MGM that's worth having it for? Because we're going to have it for the next couple months while this show's on. Then I'll get rid of it until season 4.
Yeah.
Then I'll sign back up. But is there literally anything else on there that's worth watching that I can't watch? Somewhere else? I don't know of anything. So paying $7 a month for one show.
Yeah, it's not great,
but to buy individual episodes is like $3 a piece.
Yeah,
so that'd be more
costing
expensive.
More.
So this is the cheapest way to do it. But a whole streaming service for one show is a little intense.
It is.
So anyway, let us know and tell us your theories below. We'll see you next week. We'll try to be on the ball with that one.
Yeah.
We got to this one as soon as we could. I know it's only a day. It's not that crazy. But Sunday it drops, and we'll try. But we have the kids, so it's very difficult to do on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. We will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.